So here we are. Today we are with Jumshi Jameer, and this is Nagaland. Nagaland means a lot to us, but what does it mean to the youth of Nagaland? Jumshi Jameer will tell us about himself, his journey abroad, how he came back, what brought him back, and what does he do in his podcast. Yes, he has a podcast where he talks about international issues which relate to you and me, and which, of course, enlighten people on various issues, make them aware, and that is what the purpose of most podcasts are. But sometimes you digress, but here is a young man from Nagaland who doesn't. So, welcome, Jumshi Jameer.
Thank you very much.
So it's a pleasure to be with you, and you are doing so well when you are coming to Nagaland to ensure that your own people get educated about the issues that they should know about.
Yes.
So tell us, before we go on to your podcast, let's talk about your personal life, if it's okay with you.
Sure, yeah.
So what took you abroad and what made you come back?
Well, let me give you a brief overview of my past. I actually grew up in India, but I moved to America for better education, and I finished my I did my associates in social and behavioral sciences, and my BA in history from USA. And then I moved to UK to do my master's, and I came back. You asked me, what's the reason I came back, right? I think people should do whatever makes them happy, whatever makes them comfortable, and you gotta seek opportunities wherever you are placed in this world, I think. And also, I had the privilege to see and experience the other parts of the world, and such as developed countries like USA and UK. I also really had the sort of heart to contribute in whatever manner I could to my state, to people in my state, and also the northeast part of India. So I think that sort of grew in me as I was traveling and seeing things. I think that's sort of the gist of it, I think.
Okay, very interestingly, I'm reminded of something I've heard from a very well-known politician, former diplomat, and what he said was that when people asked him about why he came back to India, he said that because he was born in the UK, and when he would look into the mirror, he would only see an Indian. And that's Dr. Shashi Tharoor, who is a great source of inspiration for a lot of youngsters in Nagaland.
Yes.
Yes. So, would you like to comment on that?
Yes, definitely. I think Dr. Sashi has been an inspirational model for me, especially sort of on an academic level. And also, seeing him gave me a different perspective of the new India that, I was sort of longing for. So, I suppose just after I graduated and I was looking for a job in USA, I happened to stumble across, his video. I think a lot of people would know. It's called Does Britain Owe Reparations, right? So I think this was in Oxford University. It's sort of a debate video. So that caught my attention, and I decided to read his books and follow him. And this was when I was there. I think I can show you some of his books. These are some of his books.
I hope Dr. Shashi Tharoor gets to see this.
I'm sort of like endorsing it, but these are some of the books that I've been reading.
Okay.
And it really influenced me and sort of pushed me. Because I was very attracted to what he offered as the new India, as the new face of India. So, long story short, after my master's, I had come back to India, and I continued to do my research here.
Okay. So, what takes up your time in Nagaland now? Most of the
Right.
time.
Well, I think a lot of my time here, I was actually helping out with my family's small business, and also I think research is something that keeps me a little busy, and therefore my podcast and sharing my opinions and all that kind of thing.
Do you think that, being an intellectual,
Yes.
do you have more people like you that you do interact with, or is it more of the local people around here? Because I feel really troubled when I see the unemployed youth,
Yeah.
out on the streets looking for employment,
Right.
conditions being bad.
I think you're definitely right on that. There is a lack of voice of the public's, opinions, and this goes back to the issues of Nagaland. I think. So, for example, the people's voice is suppressed in many ways. I think due to the fact that there has been a psychological sort of a suppression for many years. I think due to the militancy, okay, and the gun culture that we have here. And I think, I've actually, this has been told by my elders. So this is not out of
Yes.
just saying it, and this, of course, I feel like this is slowly changing, due to the fact that we have, media, we have, all sorts of platforms nowadays. But I think we still have a long way. I think we still need to catch up,
Yes.
and we need to work harder on that.
Okay, here I would like to, would like the audiences to know that Jungshi Jamir, his family might be into business, but he has connections with people who've been in politics also, and the family does understand the politics of Nagaland like nobody else does. And here, when you talk about the issues, it's of course militancy is there, the gun culture. That has, of course, there is a ceasefire now, but isn't another cause for the suppression also the fact that we have an opposition-less government now, and you have had a government in continuation for 20 years.
Yes.
So a lot of people down across the country in the mainland would say that no, it is the people's choice that they have, chosen the same people over and over again.
Yeah.
What would you like to say about that?
Well, I would definitely tell the public and just the common man to look at what what sort of infrastructures, how bad the electricity is, and the lack of governance, the breakdown of governance. I think if you look at it, it's there for everyone to see, and I feel like there has to be checks and balances. If there is no opposition, it feels like we are in the juncture, or almost I feel like we have reached to a point where we seem to be like Afghanistan, where the government has been controlled by the Taliban out there, but which is here is the underground and the mafias, I would say, and I think everybody knows this. So I think there has been a lack of visionary leaders to lead us. So therefore, I think we are sort of behind this.
There's another thing as a youngster, a lot of youngsters are concerned about it. I don't know what your take would be on that, because they feel that there's no infrastructure here, and there are no roads, like you were talking about the electric supply. It's really in a bad shape. There are continuous load shedding throughout the day. There's no water supply.
And I think that we don't have water supply. I think there's a central scheme as well. I don't know.
Har Ghar Nal, Jal Jeevan
Jal
Mission.
Jeevan,
Yes.
Mission.
What would you like to say about Jal Jeevan Mission?
Well, I think every household is building wells, to be honest, and this is going to, destroy the water table here eventually. If every household, every building is going to build a well here, so I think we definitely need, the basic amenities. Talk about water supply, electricity. Electricity is one of the biggest problems, I think. Actually, I'll tell you what, the roads were so bad when I came here. I don't know, for some reason, like what happened recently, but It was bad, and I think if you go into the outskirts of Nagaland, I think you will definitely see it. It's terrible, and I feel like there definitely needs to be the basic amenities that is our right to have it.
Why do you think the government has not given it to you? Because in Parliament, the Prime Minister actually said that Northeast has really developed. You have roads, you have every house has water.
Yeah.
This is what the Prime Minister said. But you're saying that Jal Jeevan Mission is a failure.
It's a failure here. Probably not in other parts of India, I think, as far as what I've seen here. So, and I'm sure you must have seen it too in your households.
Yes. So in Nagaland, I have been saying this again and again, there is one null in the entire Basti at a number of places. People are digging tube wells because they have no water supply. There are so many cases of cancer because of the dirty water being consumed by people. And this is my problem when those in power speak lies and say that, oh, we've given the Northeast these schemes. And when you come to the Northeast and you realize it's not there, it hurts you. Because at the end of the day, our brothers and sisters of Nagaland, they are rightfully the owners of this land, and they should be getting clean water.
Sure.
Water supply, there is no power supply. What about the healthcare system?
I think we can clearly see this. We see this during the COVID time. There was, barely any hospital beds, and I feel like they had no sort of a emergency backup plan as well. Forget about like having government hospitals. I feel like there is a certain lack to it, and I think I feel like during the COVID time, the government had to send people to their villages because they were not able to take care of them. And this was up in the media as well. I think everybody has seen it. So the situation is such that we're in a very dire straits. Had we, or if we do come across another pandemic or such again, I feel like there needs to be some sort of a change because we will suffer again. Many people will die because of the lack of facilities.
That is very scary.
That is, yeah.
What about the youth? I see a lot of angst in them, a lot of frustration.
Right.
Why is it? Because every household has a sports person.
Sure.
Every boy I meet has played football at some point of time, has had to give up, or is still playing but is not being able to play professionally as he would want to. Girls want to play sports. So every household has a sports person.
Right.
And I have seen girls who are very good athletes.
Yes.
And I've seen them practicing. But what is it that is lacking as far as the youngsters are concerned, and why are they so frustrated?
Right. I think, let's just put it this way. If you look at Manipur, the amount of athletes they come up with in national level and international, it's way above, the level of people, how many people comes up from Nagaland. There's too less. And I think one of the reasons is because of the infrastructure. And it's, once again, it's the lack of, proper government implementations based on, facilities, stadiums, and I think you must have covered about that.
Yes, the stadium, definitely.
Right.
It's called the Colosseum by the people here.
Unfortunately, yes.
But after I did the video on the Colosseum, work started. There's model code of conduct. I mean, it's so shameful that the government was not getting the work done. Obviously, it's a contractor that they know, and this has been going on for years. And when I did an expose on that, then immediately they got into action and they had people working over there. But that's not right, because the model code of conduct is in place. It's as simple as that.
Correct.
So what about the stadiums? Do you think this stadium should be, of course, finished? Or completed rather, and at other places also.
Yes.
There should be more stadiums, because this is a state which can give us, for football.
We have a lot of talent.
Yes. I'll tell you about one more instance. I got to know that the under 14 Subrata Cup was won by the youngsters of Nagaland.
Yeah.
But they were not felicitated by the government. Why did the government not felicitate them?
That's very unfortunate, because I'll just take an example. There's other chief ministers from other states who have actually gone to the places of the stadiums, and people who players who stay there, eat food, stay in the hostel. Government officials come there and make sure that everything is being done properly. But here, unfortunately, I think there's a lack to it, and I feel like there needs to be changes, especially in the sports arena, because we do have a lot of contribution to be made to the country, and I think internationally as well.
Okay, so that is very important.
Yeah.
Do you think that there is anything that could be bettered?
Well, I feel like I'm not an expert in administration per se.
But as a common citizen of
right,
Nagaland.
as a common citizen, I think we're supposed to hone on things which we are good at, and I think the government should understand that we are good at sports here in this state, and might as well make the best use of it. Put full force here, and I think this will produce more results.
Okay, so I think the problems of Nagaland are far too many.
Right.
But I want before I complete this interview with Jungshi today, I want it to be positive. So let's talk about Jungshi Jameer's podcast. What is it called, and what is it about?
Right. Well, I speak about. First of all, it's called International Pulse. I speak about the current affairs, international relations, diplomacy, history, and maybe sometimes current events here locally and internationally. And I sort of enjoy it. I feel like there's I do have a platform here where I can, share my views and concerns also, not just for me, but also wherever I stay here. I speak about issues of, the unemployment problems in Nagaland sometimes, or I speak about, the issues of, I suppose the economy, of this country or international. So it's a vast sort of a number of topics that I speak about, and I enjoy it. So
Yeah, that's great. So that is for awareness, for educating people, and that is so important, because when you get educated, then you understand the power that a single vote has. That explains to you that you have the power within you, and that power can be used to ensure that you have democracy in your state, and you can actually be part of the governance by raising questions. And today, when we have an opposition-less government, these podcasts will go a long way. They'll serve the people in a much larger context that you can ever think of.
Well, I hope so.
Yes. So I wish you all the best for it. But is there any particular episode that you would like to talk about which you have really liked doing?
Okay. I think I did speak about unemployment and the plight of skilled workers in my state. But I'll just in the same vein, let me just sort of put it briefly here. I think the things that what I hope for Nagaland, since you have been here, based here for quite a while, I hope that people in Nagaland will be bolder, okay, more proactive, for looking out for leaders, who have vision. For the long run, and not just leaders, but organizations, peoples, bodies, groups, etc., so on and so forth. And take with us with the rest of the country and the world per se. So I think I would encourage people to vote for the right candidate who have that kind of vision, not for money and muscle power, not for short-term gains, but I think we should have that courage to speak out and dream a little bigger. I think.
I keep saying, "Awaaz uthabi, bhoy na khabi."
There you go. Yeah.
Yes. So people of Nagaland need to be given that encouragement, that support, so that everybody gets together, everybody is mobilized, and they start speaking out, because Nagas are supposed to be tribals, and I always pictured the Nagas as people who were always out there. Of course, like in the army, the Pakistan army is terrified of the Naga regiment,
Right.
and they are headhunters, and we know what they've done to the Pakistanis. So the country has always been made proud of, and you have a lot of hopes for Nagaland, for the youth of Nagaland, and ultimately it is the people who will be responsible for the kind of government that they get.
Exactly.
So in the end, what message would you like to give to the people of Nagaland?
I would say dream bigger, look out for leaders, vote for the right person this coming election. Yes, it might be a little late for some, but it's never too late. I feel like we have to sort of look towards the grassroots level people, who are committed for a change and for a better Naga.
Would you like to say something in Nagamese? What you just said. Would you like to say that to the people?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. Can we have the camera on him?
Abnigan sok mano balbra babira Joan or Bura kandi vote kurbi bal candidate saina takan like policy kan ki ase vision kan ki ase aro underdog kan gibi sabi ajikali young people kan I think I would encourage that aro mon damor kurbi. Thank you.
Wonderful, so you got the message from a youngster who feels for Nagaland, who has come back to Nagaland because he hopes and he wants and he wishes, he desires to see Nagaland flourish. Its biodiversity is what is yours. Don't let anybody divide you. That is the ultimate thing to remember, and that is the only way that you can achieve the desires of your youngsters, the desires of youngsters which have been voiced today by Jungshi Jamir. And I would like to thank you all and say again with me, Awaz Uthabi, Bhoy Nakhabi.